All right, so today we're diving into a language that's got a real cool vibe. It's like stepping into a movie scene. You're in Morocco, the markets are buzzing, the smells are incredible, and everyone's chatting away.
Mm.
But it's not quite the Arabic you might expect, right?
Yeah, it's really interesting how Darija, that's the language we're talking about, by the way, how it's so intertwined with like Moroccan culture. It's how people actually talk day to day, how they tell stories, how they joke around.
It's like if formal Arabic is the kind of language you'd use for, I don't know, official stuff, then Darija is the fun cousin who everyone wants to hang out with.
Exactly. And because it's their own distinct thing, Moroccans feel very strongly about it. It's part of who they are.
That makes you think, like, when a culture has that kind of separation between the formal and the everyday language, there's got to be a whole story there, right?
Oh, absolutely. And history is a big part of what makes Darija so interesting. Imagine going way back, think North Africa centuries ago. It was like this huge melting pot of cultures and languages. So you've got the Amazigh language, which has been around for ages, spoken by the Berber people. And then Arabic comes in through trade and, well, conquests and all that.
So we're talking about a language that's been shaped by all these different historical forces. That's pretty amazing.
For sure. And then you can't forget about the Europeans. The French, the Spanish, they left their mark on Darija too. I mean, even today you can hear it in some of the words they use, like telephone, straight from French, but totally natural in Darija now.
So it's like this incredible mix, this blend of Arabic, Amazigh, French, Spanish, all these threads woven together to make something totally new.
That's such a good way to put it. It really is like a tapestry. And it's not just the words, it's the way they say them, the grammar, even the gestures they use. It all adds up to this incredibly rich mix that reflects Morocco's history and culture.
It makes you realize how much history is packed into just the way people speak. Now, for anyone listening who loves languages, you're probably wondering, how hard is it to actually learn this, Darija?
That's the question I always get. And while it definitely has its own unique features, it's known for being surprisingly approachable.
So it's not like trying to decipher hieroglyphics then. What makes it easier than people might think?
Well, one thing is that it's very phonetic. You pretty much pronounce it how you see it, which is a big relief for a lot of language learners.
That does make it seem less scary, for sure. But let's talk about what Darija actually means in the world today. We've covered the history, the culture, but where does it go from there?
Well, one of the really cool things is how it's having a real moment in like travel and tourism.
Yeah, because imagine being able to go beyond just being a tourist in Morocco, right?
Yeah.
If you could understand the conversations happening around you, the jokes, the stories, that's a whole other level of experience.
Totally. Even knowing a few basic phrases can make such a difference. It shows respect, and it shows that you're really trying to connect with the culture on a deeper level.
It's like having a secret password to unlock a whole new side of the country.
Ah.
But it's not just about travel, right? I've seen more and more Darija in movies, music, TV shows. That feels kind of groundbreaking, doesn't it?
It really is, because for so long, the idea of Arabic has been this one big thing. But when you see Darija in pop culture, it's like, hey, there's all this diversity within the diversity, and that's powerful.
It's like Darija stepping onto the world stage and saying, we're here, we have our own stories to tell, and they're worth listening to.
Exactly. And those stories are resonating more and more. This kind of exposure, it helps to break down stereotypes too. It helps people understand each other a little better.
It's kind of mind-blowing when you think about it. This language that was mostly within Morocco is now becoming something international.
And it's not just entertainment either. You see it more and more in universities and books, even online, that tells you something about how the language is evolving, right?
It sounds like it's always on the move, changing and adapting, just like the world around it.
100%. And that's why it's so fascinating for linguists like me. It shows you just how powerful language can be, how it shapes who we are in a world that's becoming more connected every day.
We've talked about how cool Darija is, how much history's behind it, but let's get back to the actual learning part for a minute. Some people might still be intimidated by the whole thing, right?
Totally understandable. Any new language can feel like a challenge at first, especially one with such a unique background.
I mean, you might think you need to be some kind of language genius, but
Yeah.
you know what? It really doesn't have to be that scary. The cool thing is you can just ease into it, figure out what works for you.
Right. Like the article made a good point about how there are so many different resources out there now. You got apps, online courses, even things where you can chat with real native speakers. It's amazing.
Yeah. Who even uses textbooks anymore? Speaking of which, they did mention that Lingualid thing, right? as a good place to start.
Oh yeah, they've got tons of stuff, everything from beginner courses all the way up to advanced levels. I think they even have a course on Memrise, you know? That app.
Mhm.
Perfect for when you just got a few minutes here and there.
It's like the options are endless. Okay, so let's say someone's convinced. They're ready to give Darija a shot. Where should they even start?
Honestly. Just surround yourself with it, even if you don't understand everything at first. Put on some Moroccan music, watch a movie with subtitles. Your ears will start picking things up without you even realizing it.
I love that. Just make it a part of your life. Keep it fun.
Exactly. And don't worry about making mistakes. That's how you learn. You're going to mess up the pronunciation. It's going to be awkward sometimes, but that's all part of the process.
So true. It's easy to get caught up in trying to be perfect, but language isn't about that, is it? It's about connecting with people, sharing experiences, even if it's a little messy sometimes.
Couldn't have said it better myself. And at the end of the day, that's what makes exploring a language like Darija so rewarding. It's a window into a whole different culture, a different way of seeing the world.
It really makes you think, you know? If we could all be a little more curious, a little more open-minded about languages like this, imagine what we could learn from each other. And who knows, maybe by understanding how Darija evolved, we can look at our own languages in a whole new light. Definitely something to think about. Anyway, that's all the time we have for today's deep dive. Until next time.